So today we're going to be answering the question, how could have deforestation have led to the pandemic of COVID-19 and of other infectious diseases? So COVID-19 requires very little introduction, as we all know. It's taken over the entire world, and unfortunately there are almost 2 million confirmed cases and definitely many more that haven't been confirmed. But what does deforestation have to do with that? So there are two main reasons why deforestation could have led to that and other uh, epidemics and pandemics. And the first one is the disruption of biomes, and the other one is urban growth. Biomes are very intricate and complex structures, and one little change could lead to a domino reaction that causes severe impact on the entire biome. For example, mosquitoes breed on water. Here you can see a small representation of the mosquito's life cycle. And if, for example, in multiple parts of the world, there's major deforestation, which is a reality, and we see that world temperatures are rising because of global warming. In general, temperatures are going to get higher, and mosquitoes need that warmer temperature to breed. They thrive on warmer temperatures. Therefore, their season is going to come earlier. They're going to be able to spread diseases on larger portions of the year. Also, without trees to block sunlight, for example, a single strand of sunlight that shines on a pond could make the temperature on the water higher and make it a better breeding place for mosquitoes. Taking down trees could impact the watershed on a mountain, on anywhere, on any ecosystem. And the watershed is many times responsible for washing away feces of mosquitoes. And without that washing away, with the watershed changing directions or maybe being dried up or any other circumstance, that feces is not washed away and can reach other places where the mosquito is then going to breed, where it's going to be able to thrive. On the other hand, water levels could rise and create more swampy areas for the mosquitoes to breed, and that happens a lot when major agricultures invade areas and change the direction of rivers, or they will damp lakes. So they will create swampy areas where the mosquito can breed, such as in this image to the right. But before we move on to our second reason, we have to talk about this fact that 3/4 of EIDs are zoonotic. So let's break that down. EIDs stand for emerging infectious diseases. That includes coronavirus, SARS, dengue, and so on. And zoonotic are any diseases that are transmitted by animals. So they're going to be passed on to humans by animals such as bats, mosquitoes, rats, ticks, and so on. And what do urban areas have to do with that? So, urban areas in themselves are very often poorly managed. So, when you take down trees, you're replacing that with areas such as favelas in Rio that are stacked, that are crowded, that have very poor sanitation. Therefore, those are areas where any disease can be very easily spread. In addition, those areas are oftentimes in very close contact with animals because urban areas are less selective environments, whereas a biome has very special conditions for a very special species. A species can't thrive anywhere. A city can host many animals, such as bats, such as rats, such as those animals that transmit diseases. So you're oftentimes going to see scenes such as this, bats flying around a city, bats that could be transmitting diseases, or for example, monkeys interacting with humans as we take on their environment and as they also adapt to our environment that we created by taking down trees, by invading forest areas. And one important fact is that 31% of diseases that bats transmit are COVs. So they're coronaviruses that infect the respiratory tract. But how can those animals be hosts of these diseases and not be affected by them? Well, Basically, there's two types of immune responses and two types of immune cells that are gonna serve those responses. First, there is innate immunity. So, innate immunity, as the name says, it's something that's natural to the body. It's something that it's a very quick response powered by these cells on the left that can tackle diseases very, very easily. And it's more general. Adaptive immunity, on the other hand, is a slower response because the body doesn't immediately recognize the invader. It has to adapt to that invader. It's something like the coronavirus onto humans. We have to respond to it with our adaptive immune cells. Bats, however, have a larger repertoire of innate immunity. They have more cells that can fight off those diseases such as COVIDs and so on. This picture illustrates what I've just said, which is when it comes to genomes that will build the cells of the immune system, humans have over 5,000 possible combinations with the genes that we have, while brown bats have over 73,000 possible combinations of immune response cells that they can make. Therefore, their innate immunity is a lot stronger than ours and is more prepared for diseases like COVs, such as COVID-19. Another fact that Another fact that works against us is that mosquitoes adapt. For example, especially in Africa, a lot of people use mosquito nets in order to protect themselves from malaria, from the mosquito that transmits malaria. And usually that mosquito would attack at night, and then because of that net, it wouldn't be able to bite those people. However, it's been shown that the mosquitoes starting to attack right before bedtime, right before people step into those nets, so that it can continue to spread on the disease. Other examples of diseases that have been impacted by our behavior and our changing of nature are Lyme disease, for example. Lyme disease has become prevalent in the United States, especially because the so-called super spreaders of the disease, the animals that are largely responsible for carrying those ticks that will then bite humans and transmit Lyme disease, thrive a lot in transition areas. This is in areas that are between city and forest and so on. And as those areas become more and more prominent, more and more common, as we're taking down trees, those super spreaders can thrive even more. Another example is leptospirosis, which is transmitted by rats. So the rats will defecate in ponds of water, in puddles of water, and people in urban areas will oftentimes end up drinking from that water, or there will be floods and they'll be infected with that water. The third example is dengue, because dengue used to be prominent in the forests of Africa, but then now it has become a completely domestic mosquito in order to attack those people in urban areas. And finally, we have the yellow fever. So a very interesting effect, although unfortunate effect, happened in Sudan in 2005, because as the country was undergoing a civil war, a lot of people fled into country areas, into more forested areas. And unfortunately, yellow fever cases spiked during that time. So therefore, as we can see, humans don't live in a vacuum. What we do has consequences onto nature. And somehow this is a way of nature of showing us that, because we seem to be forgetting that we are still part of nature. So this is it. I hope you have learned something from this video, and of course, wash your hands and stay at home. Thank you.